Welcome to the How to Sell More Cars in 2022 mid-year review. This is a town hall meeting, which means everyone has to chime in. I'm just your host, Terry Lancaster. I'm the author, for those of you who don't know me, I'm the author of the book, How to Sell More Cars. See, got my face there, you can't miss it. I've been helping dealers sell more cars for, well, I was just telling Liz, for about 40 some odd years since I was in college and started writing radio commercials. My first automotive radio commercial was for a Pontiac Fiero, America's premier mid-engine sports car. So that hasn't been around in a while. I haven't even made any Pontiacs in a while. So I've been doing this a while. And what I wanted to talk about today was where we are. Where we are now, halfway through 2022. It just seems crazy that it's halfway through 2022. And I'm going to start this by trying to figure out by talking about how we got here, and then we're going to talk about how where we are and what kind of adjustments we made. And I'm going to start this. I've never done this before. I'm going to start with an Albert Einstein quote. Said Albert Einstein, he wrote, "People like us who believe in physics know that the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion." Now, I kind of intellectually understood what he was talking about for years and years and years, but I told my daughter these last 2 years that really sits home to me, because time over the last 2 years doesn't seem like it's working the way it used to. The last 2 years has been all over the map, starting March 13th of 2020, when everything went to hell in a handbasket, and America and Canada basically got shut down. A lot of car dealers got shut down. And you think that's the end of the world, but then boom, out of the gate, the government started flooding money into everyone had extra money, everyone had time on their hand, and car sales just shot right back to where they were. It's like the stores were closed for a week, and then immediately they boomed back up. And I was telling my brother-in-law at Christmas that this was for the first time in forever, everybody in America had a $1,200 down payment. So the car business was great. For those of you who were open and could actually sell cars, the car business was great in 2020. So, I'm sorry, say again?
On her couch, like the double. Did she send it to you?
Yeah. So if you want, everybody wants to put themselves on mute, just say.
Yeah. She's like, what did she say? Something like, "Who do these two think they are?" And I responded. I said, "Two bitches that know that
Hello.
couch, or they're about to buy that couch." Because she's gonna be making like 50.
So I don't know who that is, but you might want to put yourself on mute.
Potentially. Or actually, I was counting. Are you talking?
Yeah. There we go. So, in 2020, in 2020, the car business was going along smooth, even into 2021, and then the supply crisis kind of hit, and all of a sudden, people didn't have cars to sell, and then things started kind of tumbling about halfway through last year, and now we're halfway through this year, and the sales numbers just came out. So the sales numbers across the board were down. Car sales in the United States were down about 20% in the first half of the year, down 20% from the first half of 2021, where we're still riding that big high from all the government money that was popped in. I said that so sales are down. I think Ford was the only one really to pull out a number that was squeaking through. So I've been looking at the advertising and the marketing that I've been doing with dealers, and the biggest change I've noticed over the last few months coming into this is I think that everyone has finally decided that this is the normal. This is the way things are going to be. For a long time, a lot of dealers were a lot of salespeople were trying to ride it out. We're going to sit back and wait till as soon as the cars start coming back in, we're going to be back to the races. Just like in 2020, as soon as the cars start coming back in, boom, we're going to go back to where we were before. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. The money was easy, but it's not coming back. We've been in this situation now for about a year, and I think the realization everyone has is that it's probably not going to go back to the way it was, and maybe ever but definitely probably for a long time. But back when a new car dealer had 600-700 cars on the lot, and everyone could walk in and buy what they wanted, and they were blowing money advertising every which direction. The good old days, as I like to call them, those days are probably not coming back, and we're getting to where the people and the dealers and the salespeople and even the factories realize that. I was having a conversation yesterday with a dealer that I was working on a radio spot for him, and he said, "Hey, I need to come up with a spot on pre-ordering vehicles." He had resisted doing that before, but he wanted a spot 100% on pre-ordering vehicles because this was a Hyundai dealer in Canada, and he said Hyundai has told him that they're probably not going to, that if he wants to sell any new Hyundais this year, for the rest of this year, it has to be done through a pre-order. There's not going to be any inventory to sell from for at least the next 6 months. And that's pretty pervasive. I know dealers who are starting to build websites strictly now for the pre-ordering side of things. And so, and for a long time, I know dealers who have built websites specifically for the buying of cars. We're buying cars off the street. People have been doing that for about a year now. So that's starting to settle in as the new normal. And so when I was looking at what's changing, I was thinking of which areas that the advertising and marketing is changing the most. And that's in the people. There's a lot more emphasis on the service and fixed ops because the cars that are out there, they're all wearing out. And if they can't get a new car, they definitely need to fix the car that they had. And so dealers are starting to spend a little more money, a little more time, a little more attention into the service and fixed ops into things. They're definitely spending more time on used cars because most car dealers are mostly in the used car business these days. That used cars are outselling because you can't get any new cars. So the used cars values are through the roof. And the pre-ordering and purchasing cars up, and hopefully at long last, there's going to be a little more attention to the retention side of things, to building those relationships for the long term. So, I mean, like I said, I don't expect things to come back to the way things were pre-2020. I think it's going to be a long time before we see that again, but there's going to be more cars coming in. There's starting to be more cars coming in now. I did work on an ad on a direct mail piece last month for the first time in 2 years for an off-site sale where a dealer got all their inventory and took it to a location that was a mall. They were having this ad, put up the big tent. I mean, it was, again, just like the good old days. Of course, this was a dealer group and they had 10 stores to get the inventory to get there together, but they got all their inventory together and had a big old giant off-site sale, just like the good old days. So my contention is that this is the way things are. And the biggest change now is that people are starting to accept this is the way things are, and they're moving forward as it is. So who has something to contribute to that? Who agrees with me, disagrees, or sees something else that is the biggest change that's going on? Clinton, buddy, welcome aboard. What's going on down in Texas?
Well, same old, basically just what you were talking about. That's all we're seeing. I mean, on the new car side of things, we've got like 9 and we've got a Hyundai store and a GM store, and we've got like 9 total. It's getting to be kind of a pressure cooker down here, man. And then, by the way, that's a joke for people that are in Texas because it's hotter than anyway. Used car side, we're dwindling in inventory on used side because of the fact that we're not getting any trades, and things are getting kind of, I don't know, the path's getting difficult.
Yeah, the path is getting difficult. I think that's what it is that people are starting to accept that. Yeah. Baron, if you got a microphone, pop in. Feel free to pop in.
Well, I definitely agree. I think the manufacturers have been waiting a long time for this scenario.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's it. The manufacturers, the third party things. I don't want to be all suspicious and tinfoil hat that they created this, but they are definitely Barron's over there talking about Ford. Ford is eating this up. Ford is all in on the buyer process, and they definitely like it, right?
Absolutely. I think Ford is probably leading the way or started leading the way. They might not have created the situation, but they're certainly sitting in the catbird seat, so to speak, as far as new inventory goes. And yeah, you've seen, it wasn't long ago that I saw the first television commercial pop out where we're now talking about come in and special order your vehicle.
Right.
So it is getting tough. My specialty over the last probably 5 years has been in the acquisition side, trying to source inventory. And we started leaning into it 3-4 years ago and said, just prior to the COVID situation, let's buy as many as we can. And that whole idea of, buying off the street is now, you see the V Auto guys and they're talking all about it. But if everybody's doing the same thing, how do we come up with something else?
Yeah.
And so I think the next thing is probably to lean into getting into your own customer base, buying from your service drive. We're looking at all aspects of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I can't turn on the TV without seeing a Carvana commercial, and it's been like that for years. And now Carvana's, they're bleeding money, and the stock's cratering, but somehow they still got money to buy every TV spot that's on the air. But they're not talking about selling cars anymore. They're 100% trying to buy cars.
Yep.
Barron's Kansas City. That's right. Barron Washington Jr. in Kansas City says Ford can't keep up with all the orders that they got. Ford is one of the ones, like I said, leading the way on the pre-order thing. They've get your Ford your way. I know they're doing national ads for it. They're doing regional ad in a bunch of places to it, and they're pushing all the pre-orders, but they can't deliver the cars that they've got ordered. They can't get them to that. So how are you guys dealing with that?
Yeah, so basically you got to be pretty good at fielding phone calls right now, just keeping the customer apprised of the situation. The good thing is that they are keeping up with them via email, so they get updates when we get updates, but it still sucks just because we're a society that's used to having everything now.
Yeah.
And now it's a reversal of that, not being able to get parts or waiting on chips, all the new, the Mavericks, the Broncos, all those things. It's been kind of a cluster. Fortunately for us, we're not heavily in the new car market. We're mostly a pre-owned store, but we do have to get our numbers and hit our numbers for Ford, being a franchise. So just navigating the waters and, try to figure things out.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this about Ford, because almost like Carvana, and every time I turn on the TV, I see an ad from Carvana talking about buying cars. Every time I read the news, the automotive industry news, I see something new from the Ford CEO, Jim Farley, who's talking about dealers, and he's talking about EV, electric vehicles, and he's talking about the pre-ordering process. I can't make heads or tails of what he's actually trying to accomplish at the store level. What are you guys thinking about all the stuff he's saying?
So my ownership is really forward thinking. They love the EV stuff. So when it was available to do a couple years ago, they signed up, and you had to build a couple of the charging stations at the dealership, get EV certified. They love the Maverick, and everything about, or not the Maverick, but the Mach-E and the Lightning. Yeah. The way that things are coming down the pike, and in the future, I don't see that it will be, people I think like it. When I got into Ford, back in 2013, hybrids were kind of like, aliens. People, were kind of iffy on them. I mean, people are used to going to the gas station, putting gas in their car, and going on about their business. They're, not really into charging. Most of them don't get very far on a full charge, first of all. And then, who knows? I mean, if this big push to go fully electric, starts to gain momentum, I think it's going to be hard, just because, shoot, they have blackouts now, on the grids and things, and
Oh,
all
yeah.
these people go to try to charge their vehicles. And I mean, I don't know. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of weird, personally, but my owner, he loves it. So
Yeah, we got folks here from Texas and California, and those are the blackout capitals of America. So I understand that. But I think you're right. The Ford F-150, the F-150 Lightning. I've been telling everyone, if that when that comes out and people see the performance and what this truck can do, that could be the tipping point that makes America, really reconsider electric vehicles, because America loves a big old truck, and they love an F-150 biggest of all. And now if you get an electric truck that you don't got to put no gas in, you can still tow your boat and your motor home and shoot guns off of it in the whole 9 yards. I think that's a selling point. The problem is you got Jim Farley saying Ford dealers aren't going to be able to sell those cars, that you're going to have an entirely separate dealership, after you guys have invested money in it, that they're going to split them up, and we're going to take all this goodwill that we've built for 100 years selling the F-150 through these dealerships, and now we're going to sell these cars direct to the consumer through Ford, and the dealers aren't going to get a cut. So I don't see that going over very well.
no.
No, I don't.
Sounds
You
like
still rely on the dealer for the service aspect.
Right.
The worst thing for the market is for when a manufacturer gets into the selling side.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and that's my whole point. This has been my conversation for 10 years, that I've been saying I've been saying for 10 to 12 years that everything that's happening digitally, and now everything that's happening with pre-order, is, I don't know if it's designed to cut the dealer out, but it's definitely making it possible to cut the dealer out and cut the dealer's margins, and make them really just there to deliver and service the vehicles. But the dealers are the one with the boots on the ground. The dealers and the salespeople are the one building the relationships in the community. So the manufacturer is never going to have that. They're going to be sitting in Detroit, or I'm in Nashville. Mitsubishi's based in Nashville. Nissan's based in Nashville. So they're all sitting. The Nissan headquarters is about 3 miles from my house, as a matter of fact. So they're all sitting there plotting what's going on around the world, and they don't have any idea what's going on in Walla Walla, Washington, and how to sell cars in Walla Walla, Washington.
Well, and it's the dealerships that maintain the customer relationships. Like you said, if Ford wants to get into the marketing side and sell direct to the customer, I think they're going to cut their own neck.
Yeah.
They can't possibly, like Barron says, we were selling Chevrolets and promised the car in 2 months, and then it was 3 months, and then it was 6 months, and then now it's 7 or 8 months. They've made 4 payments on a vehicle that, for all intents and purposes, you still don't have an ETA on.
Yeah.
By the way, all the options that you ordered it with are now being, they're on constriction.
Yeah.
I don't know what the end answer or the end result will be, but Chevrolet trying to start their own used car with Car Bravo.
Yeah.
Come on now. You build cars, we'll take care of selling them.
I think the silver lining in all of this is exactly what you were just talking about, Aaron, and Barron saying, all right, so we're sending out all these emails, and the car is going to be here on Tuesday. Now it's going to be here 3 weeks from Tuesday. Now it's going to be here on the second Tuesday of the third month from now, and all this going on. The silver lining is, and it never seems like this, but Liz, going back to what we were talking about radio. Well, when I was selling radio, my favorite thing in the world was when we screwed up on a radio spot and got the name of something wrong, or got a price wrong, or got the address wrong, and there's something wrong in the spot. Because as soon as it's wrong, the client starts calling. And if you've been in sales anytime, every problem is an opportunity. And so if you've got to constantly be reaching out to people, trying to massage this situation that their car's not here, that's more and more opportunity for you to be there, building the relationships, making sure you're the one that's on their side.
Terry, they're all at this point
Absolutely agree.
trying to follow the lead from Elon Musk is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Not realizing that the buying process with Tesla, I swear to God, if they didn't have, the quality vehicle, and if they didn't have all the new tech and all the good stuff, and they were the first big major brand to really put out all of these available options for a fully EV car, not only one that's fully EV, but they actually did better with their distance that you can travel on a full charge than most did. Outside of that, if you've ever been through their buying process or tried to explore their buying price, it's terrible.
Yeah,
it's absolutely terrible.
It's terrible.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing that any kind of manufacturer trying to follow Tesla, and the other one they all want to be is they all want to be Carvana. Just like I said, with their thing, Carvana, was selling millions of cars, hundreds of thousands of cars every year with zero salespeople. The problem with following Tesla or following Carvana, either one, is that Tesla and Carvana were never companies designed to sell cars. Tesla and Carvana 100% from the get-go, from day one, were stock plays. They were designed to sell stock, and they've been manipulating stock prices for every year that they've been doing that. That's everything. You watch everything Elon Musk does, it's strictly to boost the price. It's strictly for Wall Street. How many cars he sells is almost irrelevant. It's got nothing to do with that. He's in the business of selling stock. That's how he got to be so rich. The people who started Carvana, they were with Drive Time or Driveway, whichever one it was before. They got arrested for securities fraud. Going way back, one of their founders was with the savings and loan deal back in whenever that happened in the 90s, when it was manipulating stock. So those aren't auto dealerships. Those aren't auto manufacturers. They're stock manipulators who are using vehicles for the chance to manipulate their stock. So they're definitely not the ones that you want to follow.
Well, you can only lose money for so long. Those companies rely on revenue to jack their stock prices, but every year you look at what they're losing at $50 million annually that Carvana lost last year. How sustainable a business plan is that?
Yeah, it goes
how
back.
long do you think they'll be in the market?
Yeah, it goes back to like the .com thing. The worst thing that could happen to Carvana is for them to become profitable, because they become profitable, then people are going to measure their stock value by the same measure they use for everyone else, PE, price earnings. Yeah, and if they're now they're profitable, they can't go by smoke and mirrors anymore. All right, 728. 728. Go ahead, Clinton.
Well, I was just going to say that 100% correct. I mean, and everybody that has done any research on Carvana, most of us in the car business have, we all know what their founders are about. And so like, it doesn't take a whole lot to put two and two together. And if these companies like Ford, and Ford is making the biggest push to take dealers out of the whole equation of anybody. But the thing about it is Ford and GM are such great competitors that GM will follow suit.
Yeah.
And you've got all of that going on, and they're trying to follow a pattern for somebody that do they research what's going on here? Because I mean, look at the Carvana would be lost if they didn't find new investors all of a sudden. You know what I mean? Like, it's just somewhere or another, they schmooze another investor into losing a whole bunch of money, and they can show this new valuation, and then their stock goes up, and then it comes down. It's just the biggest scam I've ever seen, and anybody that pays attention can tell that.
Yeah, there's a word for it. There's a word for it. It's a Ponzi scheme. Always. Yeah. So 7:30. I try to keep these short to tell everybody we're going to get out of here as close to 7:30 as possible. The one thing we haven't really talked about is marketing on the service end. So before I let you go, does anyone have anything about what's going on in the service? I know Aaron mentioned trying to buy cars. off the out of the service lane. And Clinton and I have talked about this before about mining the database for cars, but specifically about the marketing of the service department and any renewed emphasis that's going on there, because that's one of the areas that I've seen people are adjusting to most recently. That and anything else anyone wants to chime in before we go?
I think it's your greatest resource as a car dealer right now is your service lane, your service department, whether you're trying to acquire vehicles or you're trying to build customer relationships. That is where you can lock the customer down to yourself as a person, whether or not they try and buy it online or they're trying to order whatever, they come to you to get them fixed.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a lot of fear in the market right now. Recession. People are trying to keep their cars longer. They will and always will need to buy a new vehicle at some point. So they come to you to get them fixed. And that's where you have your greatest strength.
Yeah. Well, the old saw is the sales department sells the first car and the service department sells the next 2 or 3. So, you know, that's long term. The money is in the relationship. It always has been. And that again, every problem, whether it's their car not getting delivered or them, a flat tire, every problem is an opportunity for you to build that relationship more. So go ahead, if you haven't put your name or contact information over in the chat bar, just so I can thank everyone tomorrow for showing up. If you've got anything else that you want to talk about before we go, hop in now, raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to let you go, 7:31. I appreciate every one of you showing up to tell me what's going on in your world for the first half of 2022. And if there's any way I can help you make the second half any better, don't bother me. Don't hesitate to reach out. All right, everyone, have a great night. We'll see you.